guys have been here for a long time, and it's the 11th album that just came out now in September. Is that still an exciting time to see how your audience will react, how critics will react, or yeah?
It's a time that's always really exciting for us to see how it's accepted, and because we struggle with writing and recording, and finally it comes together, and then you put it out there, and wait and see.
But you put it out there, and that's
we
important.
We do put it out there, no matter what it is.
Well, no, I think I think you must have been very happy with this last record. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't put it out, no?
Yeah, I mean, we're pretty critical of ourselves. I mean, there's certain things that are sort of open-ended and that you don't have really control over as much, and that are nice to leave to surprises. But yeah, I mean, there's certain things we work hard on. When we write, we'll spend a lot of time on the songs, and we really kind of have a pretty good idea before we go into the studio what we want to do and how we want to do them. And I don't know. I think if you do that, then you can leave up to chance things that are interesting, that make the record that much more satisfying. I think, because I don't know, that's inevitably going to happen, and it's nice when it happens on things that you don't have control over anyway.
But is a good reception just a bonus then?
Good reception, it's nice. Well, of course, I mean, I think if you draw a picture and hand it to your friend, you want to get a reaction out of it, whether it's that's awesome or that's funny, or when you create, I think if you're giving it to someone or putting it out for people to see, I mean, there's the anticipation of the reaction, and does anyone get it, or does anyone enjoy this, or is anyone stopping for a couple seconds and pondering what you're trying to say? I mean, that's I think anyone who puts something out is looking for that, So yeah, you hope it's good. I mean, we have good fans who have kind of followed us in all kinds of different directions over the years. So I think, I think they are excited if we do something that's challenging and that is moving forward, and something that is I don't know. I think they like when we do what we want, and so far it's worked fine, and we've been very lucky.
Yeah, you have, of course, a very recognizable sound in a way because of the vocal harmonies, for example. But then, like you just said, there is always this challenge, this way of going into sonic adventures somehow on each record. How important is the role of the producer, for example, to get to that final sound?
Okay. Yeah, it can be like part of. Yeah, it's sort of like having another part of the band there, and that can express itself in a few different ways. Sometimes it's someone says, "Hey, I know what would be great for this song is this instrument here," or "Hey, I've got a great reverb for this song here," and something like that. Sometimes it's that kind of contribution. Sometimes it's just, sometimes it's someone who's just there to say, "Yep, that sounds great. Do it again." And that's maybe for that project, that's what you need, and sometimes you work with someone who their talent is okay. All right, this is great. Let's make it even more intense, or let's make it do something really crazy here, or let's find a new sound that we can put here at the end that will lead into this other really cool idea that we already recorded. Sometimes you need someone that can do that, and someone. I guess the most recent person we've worked with was someone like that. He was. His name is BJ Burton, and he's sort of looking for the new edge. He's looking for the new possibilities in sound and recording, and
apparently he contacted you guys to work together. Is that true?
Yeah.
Did he take the initiative, or?
Yeah, he contacted us. He works for, not for. He works with Justin Vernon from Bon Iver, and his studio, which he has out in the woods that he's been working at for a long time, is just a few hours away from where we live. So it sort of was inevitable that we would stop by and see the studio, and that was sort of the seed that was planted. And I think over the next year, we worked to get together on another project, and sort of decided that we should work together in the next Low thing. Mm-hmm. So sometimes it's just very simple. The right person just comes along, and you just run with it and trust that if you trust that person, then it should work great.
But people like Steve Albini or Dave Fridman or Jeff Tweedy, they're so different from one another in what they do on their own records or other records that they've produced. Do you have an idea already in your head before you start the process of what that combination could sound like, or do you? Because most of the time, I think the songs are already there when you start the recordings.
Yeah, usually we'll have the songs first, and sometimes the songs will hint towards something or a direction that maybe we're going to go, and crossed with whoever you happen to meet or speak with that, at that time. But yeah, it starts with the songs, and then a lot of times the songs are sort of open to interpretation depending on how we feel and who we work with. Is that it? I'm sorry. Did that answer it? Sorry.
I don't know. Does that answer it? What do you consider the core of a Low song? What is the identity of a Low song?
I think at this point, I would say the vocals definitely are pretty integral. Maybe the minimalism to somewhat, to some degree. It's just three of us on, playing our little instruments, and so it's pretty simple. I think the core is pretty simple. And so then when you work with a producer, you just take those core elements, and I think we've been willing, we can be real adventurous, and we're not set in our minds how something should be and how something should sound in the studio. And that makes it, that kind of makes it a little more exciting, because you go and you don't have a definite idea. But then when this fourth person, the producer, comes in, he just adds something, and I think we've been lucky that the people we've worked with have been very helpful and creative.
Is the emotionality, I don't know if that's a correct word, but like the emotion in a song, is that also at the core of the Low sound or identity? For me as a listener, it is. That's why I ask.
I think it's true, maybe because we've been told that enough. But the emotionality of something is often the end of the process. We don't start with emotionality and then try to translate it through music, so that then something emotional can happen. I think you just, you create, and if it's something that's honest and that's coming from you, and I mean, sometimes your abilities with the language can be a factor, but in the end, the emotionality of that process only happens at the end.
I think as the writer, the creator, there's an emotion, obviously, as you're creating, but I think it probably differs from the listener's emotionality. That's a great word. I wonder if that's really a word. I don't know.
Probably not.
It's probably we'll just keep saying it like it is. So no, it is. It'll be in the next year.
Yeah, or maybe
what are the new words of the year?
It's hashtag.
Hashtag emotionality. Yeah.
Tweet about it. Okay. But maybe the intensity, because you mentioned the vocals, which of course is, at the core of Low, but also in the instrumental parts of some of the songs, it's, to me, very recognizable somehow that it's you guys.
I think
playing.
so. Alan, his guitar playing is unique, right? Wouldn't you say that? Would you agree?
You mean I lag behind a little bit all the time? And
Between the two of us, we lag pretty badly, but no.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I shouldn't have been so harsh about the emotion part of music, but I don't know. I think when something is slow, I would agree that probably most of the lyrical content of the songs are usually about something serious or something reflective, sober maybe is a word. I don't know how that would translate, but it seems, I don't know. I think it can be often interpreted as melancholic, but I don't know. I guess I don't feel like it's as dark as some people maybe prescribe to it on the surface. It's hopeful music, but it's more often hope in that moment where you see things a little more clearly, and most of the time that's a very it's a very dark moment sometimes, and but it's important because that's where you turn around, and I guess that's again comes back to hope, the hope of that. And then sometimes there are songs that are very much about being confused and blind and frustrated and standing in an unanswerable question, and that can be, I don't know, that can be emotional, I suppose.
Yeah, it seems like in this last record you do ask a lot of questions that maybe cannot be answered. One of the songs, What Part of Me, is, I think, an example of that. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out how to understand each other, and some things improve, some things are always confusing.
What's of course very exceptional, I think, almost in music is the fact that you've been working together for over 20 years. You've also been a couple for that amount of time. Are the roles different when you're in the musical relationship from when you are in your family situation, or is it so intertwined by now that it's...
I think it's both. As when we're home with the kids, we obviously have those roles, but there's always, the band is always, coming in. We're answering calls, we're doing, business all the time. So honestly, it's always a marriage in a band, a band with a marriage. It's, yeah, I would say.
But does one of you, for example, take the lead more easily in the music and maybe not in the household?
That's
I would say yes, but
yeah,
not
probably.
but not easily, I would say.
Yeah, we probably do.
I think Alan does not like to be the leader, but he is in the band. You know, I mean, he always kind of.
I'm the guy that says, "Okay, let's go do this."
I can't believe I have to, push you along for this. He's always telling me this, and then at home, I cook, I clean, I do that crap, and it's fine. I mean, I enjoy that. Maybe I enjoy my job better than he enjoys his. I don't. Maybe.
You're a good cook. You're a very good cook.
Oh, that's nice.
What's the role of the third musician that you've always had, even though it has been different people? But
To put up
the
with
moderator.
us.
Yeah, he's the moderator. No, we've always depended on a good third person. I think we need collaborators in sort of different ways, and there's you could talk all day about sort of the triangle of creative sort of interaction that happens between three people, and even if some of them are very different from each other, the right sort of flow between three people can really be productive, and can kind of, well, I suppose it makes sense, but it can really transcend just two people, which I guess mathematically makes sense. But there's just something about that, and so we've always depended on someone who can be solid musically and can kind of jump in with sort of understand the vibe that we've always had, and sort of know where to be and where not to be, and I don't know. It's everyone's done a pretty great job of that over the years. However, of course, we're on our fourth. Yeah, Steve has been with us for 8 years now. Yeah, last 8 years. So, and he's very good. He's a very talented musician, and he rehearses and works on music more than anybody I know. And he's definitely slumming it with this little rock band.
Is it difficult sometimes for him that it's mostly about you two, for example? Or maybe he thinks,
I don't know.
I have the easy part. I just, come in for the music and all that. And
I don't know. Maybe. I think he seems fine. He's.
I don't know. I mean, if you're honest with yourself, you see what it is. It is what
Yeah.
it is. What it is. I mean,
yeah.
I think he appreciates the experiences he's had. He's been able to travel the world with us, and so I think he understands that it's been a really good experience for him. I don't know. He's kind of expressed that, and
no, it's a good interchange. He's shy and doesn't like doing interviews, so he's fine with people just talking to us.
Okay. You've always toured a lot from the beginning already, which also means that you've been coming back to certain places quite a few times. Mm-hmm. When was the first time you came to Belgium?
I would
bet
say
it was
95.
94, 95. Was it
95? Did we play?
Was it the Pits? Did we play the Pits?
No, that was
Kortrijk?
more in 96.
Was that a little later?
97,
Okay.
yeah.
That was a very memorable experience.
Why was that one so memorable?
It just Well, you'd walk into the door.
Well, the
and
bar,
the,
yeah.
The
It's just,
toilet, the men's toilet was right there, and it was not was not closed in
Enclosed.
a stall. So first thing you'd see.
you had to walk past the urinal to get
Yes.
into the club. And the bar is as big as this.
The whole venue, yeah.
This,
it's
this
about
stage here.
Yeah.
Oops.
Stretch front.
And the stage would be essentially the piano. Maybe two pianos.
Two pianos, yeah.
Size of. But yeah, that was just memorable because
Yeah,
it was fun, and they cooked food for us, of course, because every place you play in Belgium, they cook you food and they take care of you, and yeah, it was early on really great experiences, especially the small towns where they would have their, I don't know what you call them, but the place where the community had set up a place where the young people could go see shows or something. And
The Jeugdhuis.
yeah, right. You could fit 150 people. You know, we
Yeah.
played a bunch of those early on, and those were really great experiences because there were people who were kind of like us from a small town and really excited that there was a show going on and a band that was
Well, that was.
weird.
I remember Belgium, and people were seeing us for the first time, but they were very, emotional, and we could tell that was, I don't know.
They were responding.
Yeah, they were definitely responding. So it was, that was exciting.
Because I can imagine at the time, like mid-90s, the music that you guys were putting out, I mean, that's not really what was going on
Right.
around you. So it must have happened that you, I don't know, came into a place, one of those smaller clubs, in front of an audience.
Oh, I'm sure we surprised many people with how quiet we were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be people who would just go to shows because it was the thing. It was
something
something
going
to
on.
do. And like, oh, there's a band. Oh, okay, great. I don't care what they sound like. I don't need to look and listen to them first. Let's just go see a show. And most of the time they would appreciate the fact that it was something unique, and if you were nice. If you wanted to talk about comics and stuff like that, it was great.
Did you have the opportunity to see interesting bands when you were growing up? Or was that really quite remote from where you lived?
we lived out in the country, and we would see pictures sometimes and hear about stuff, and Mim's cousin would send her some punk rock records and stuff like that, and Husker Du and stuff like that. But first shows, I guess.
Yeah,
weren't
there wasn't a
until-
lot of live. There were cover bands that would come into the town, and
Played
they
the
played
dance
at the,
hall.
yeah, they
and
played the dance
played
hall. So,
U2 songs.
but
and
that was exciting,
stuff like that sometimes, and it was good.
So that was fun, to see.
How did you first start to perform around the area where you were living at the time?
Well, we didn't perform around. Well, Alan and I, we've known each other since we were 9. We kind of grew up together.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't until we went to college that we started the band, after we were.
Yeah, we kind of sang stuff together and sort of dreamed and thought it'd be kind of fun to do music, but didn't start until we were
Yeah.
out of college a little bit. But I don't know.
I think for a lot of young bands, even nowadays, I mean, they have access to everything more or less. I think here in Belgium, for example, we're very spoiled with live concerts. I mean, we
Yeah.
have a lot of good places to go see bands not far. I mean, we can get there by bus or train and go back home and all that. It's very easy. It costs a
Yeah.
little bit of money, but
Sure.
the music, they find it for free. So I think a lot of young people might take it for granted that it's become so easy. But at the same time, when you have the ambition or the urge to start a band and get noticed, it's probably just as hard now as it was for you guys 20 years ago, or how do you see that?
Yeah, it probably is. It's a different kind of difficulty. You know, you're having to be heard above a crowd, and you're having to develop. You know, trying to figure out a balance of developing a depth with sort of the insistence that you try to engage people on a short-term kind of format. And I think that's sort of a struggle for any good band who's new. But, you know, in many ways it's the same as it was back when we were starting, when you're, you know, trying to call someone in Portland and say, hey, I have this band and we want to tour, and someone says, send us a tape.
Yeah.
Okay, so you mail them a tape. Hey, did you get my tape? No, I got a whole bunch of tapes here. They call me next week. Okay, hey, okay, yeah, I'll give you a show Tuesday.
New band night.
I'll give you $50.
You'll be third on the bill of 8, you
Yeah.
know, something like that.
You know, and that was difficult. Then you would go and lose money and sometimes be humiliated, but you know, it's just a different kind of thing. I mean, it's only romantic because it happened a long time ago. You know?
I mean, now you've been around for a long time. You can live from your music by touring, by selling records. Did you ever have a plan B?
Still don't have it.
No, not really. We have a lot of experience driving. Maybe I'll have to drive somebody or something. I don't know.
One of the questions I think you guys get a lot too, because you are a couple in a band with children, is how do you manage that? You know, having a family with kids growing up and at the same time do all the traveling that you mentioned. And recently there was a conversation between you and Sharon Van Etten where she was asking you a lot of advice. You know, she wants a baby, but what about the music and how, you know, how will things go creatively, and does that all end, or does financially as well? What did you tell her?
I told her, just don't think about it too much. Just do it. If you really want to, you know, just do it, because if you think about it, there'll be so many reasons not to, you know. And honestly, that's what we did. We had, you know, we had our first child, and then we, like we said, we had no plan B. So plan A, we just proceeded with that. We went on tour and, you know,
Took them with you.
Took her with us, and then when we had the second, we took him. And now for the last 10 years, we've had a very good friend from Duluth who just moves into our house and takes over, takes every, you know. So we've been really, really lucky that we've got that. And now the kids are getting older.
Yeah.
Someday, I suppose they'll take care of themselves when we're gone.
Right. And it's not actually that we're not gone that much. You know, we're really lucky. I mean, you know, there's a few months where we're busy after a record comes out, but then it's sort of spotty for another year and a half then, and so we're really lucky. We're home. When we're home, we're able to be there, you know, when they leave and come home. And there's a lot of parents who don't have that, and I think it's a problem for sure in America, and so we've been very lucky. I mean, as much as it seems like we would be gone a lot, we're around more than most.
You mentioned earlier you do a lot of work from home as well, not just creating the music, but everything else that comes with it. You've been on different labels throughout the years. You've been on Sub Pop for quite a while now.
10 years.
What does a good label? What is a good label for you? What do you expect from them? What kind of support?
Well, someone you trust, people who you can tell, honestly, believe in the band and understand and respect what you're doing. It's nice when they pay you. You know, there's not a lot of money really in selling records, you know, anymore. Good record companies are out there and sort of have figured out how to keep it within reason and get stuff out to people that really love music. But there's not a lot of money going around there, and not a lot to go around to who's involved. So, you know, live, you know, playing shows is where most of the money is. But anyway, where was I going with records?
That they let you put out the record that you want to.
Yeah.
You know?
You know, we've always had
that
people
what you were
who
thinking?
let us. Yeah, we always had people who let us do what we want. What else? Oh, I know this sounds silly and boring and like the business, but good distribution. We've always been lucky to work with distributors. You know, it's again, it's very boring, but like a record company in the United States has to establish a good relationship with a label in each country or region that can then distribute and handle promotion and understand, you know, what's the best thing for this band in this country or whatever. And it's very difficult to get the right people in each country, but it's possible. And there are really good people who really care about music, and we've always been lucky to work with great people with that. And Sub Pop has sort of figured that out.
Right, so they don't only have the right people in their office in Seattle, but
Yeah. They work with the right people in each country, and it's good. I won't. You'll have to look up the name of who handles us here, but they're very dear to us and have become good friends.
no, but I'm asking because I know that there are some people here today that, you know, are interested in knowing, you know, once they do approach a record company or a distributor or whatever, what are some
What
of
to
the
look for,
important things to
yeah,
look
yeah.
for, So, yeah.
Well, yeah, honesty and just keep in mind, you know, again, there's not a lot of money in it, you know. And if someone comes up to you and they say, "Man, I want to give you a little money to make a record," take it for what it is and say, "Hey, thanks a lot," you know. They're putting out, you know, they're going out on a limb for you, you know, and don't expect, you know, a lot to come out of it, and don't be surprised when, you know, that person ends up losing a lot of money and says, "I'm sorry, don't have any money to pay you." But just keep it within reason, you know. Just do a few and see how it goes, and you know, good music will be found.
Okay, that's very hopeful.
It's true.
This past summer, you went to China for the first time. What was that like?
It was really amazing. You know, I mean, we knew it would be very different, you know, but kind of had no expectations to who would come to our shows. We had four shows. It was great. We took the kids with us. They got to see China, you know. We saw the Great Wall, you know, ate amazing Chinese food and food over there, you know. No, it was really great.
How did you communicate with?
We had a
people?
guide. We had a
Okay.
guide with us, this young girl, and she spoke. You know, she spoke for us, and we just followed her around.
Yeah.
It's very strange. They're very.
How did you end up in China? Did they know your music?
Yeah, the
This
promoters.
small company, this
Yeah.
small group of people who wanted to start a company to
Yeah.
bring tours over to China just contacted us. And they. I don't know.
They arranged
It's
it.
simple as
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Sometimes
They-
you just get a
yeah.
call.
Yeah.
I know in a lot of other places, some of the fans have been following you for a long time. Once they get into the music, it seems like they, you know, keep coming back to the concerts and keep following you into the next record. How is your relationship with the fans? Is it... are you approachable for them? Do they talk to you a lot? Maybe through internet more, or I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we're not super on the internet a lot. I do Twitter, and that's, you know, that can be okay sometimes, but not so okay sometimes too. I'm glad I didn't have Twitter maybe 7-8 years ago. But anyway, I don't know. I think we're okay with. I guess we're pretty approachable. You know, it's a strange thing sometimes. Someone will come up and say that they like what you do, and you know, there's no way that thank you is enough. You know, there's no way you can say no. I mean, I don't know. So it's always difficult to. I guess I find it difficult to express that back. So therefore it becomes sometimes frustrating, but. Because it's more than I can say, but I don't know. Yeah, we're just normal farmers, you know. We come from a region that, you know, we don't like to be noticed too much, and we don't like to look each other in the eye when we're talking. And stuff. So sometimes it's maybe awkward, but we do like talking to people.
What I think could be strange is that if you follow a band for a while, or if you really get into the music, then you have an idea of the people that made that music. And you may have the impression that you know them in a way. And then when there is contact, that can be very awkward. Or how do you deal with that?
That's interesting, and I'm glad you brought it up. And that I didn't. Yeah, that's true. It's a strange thing. I've experienced the same thing. There have been people I've met who meant a lot to me, sort of, you know, whether they were a musical influence or something, and you go up to them and you start saying something to them like, you know, you are blah 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 blah, and then there's just nothing that they can say that's going to satisfy that interaction. I mean, it's hard to describe, but it's exactly that.
Well, in their mind, maybe there's nothing they can say.
Well, right, he doesn't know me.
No, but I'm
it's
just
like
saying
Michael
the person
Stipe
that comes
doesn't know
up,
me.
No, you met
You know,
Michael Stipe once.
but when I met him, you know, I remember like totally doing the awkward, like, oh hi, you were like a really big influence on me when I was young, and you know, and I meant it. And I was really excited that I had gotten to meet him and all this stuff. But the moment I said that to him, I realized that it was like, wow, I feel so bad because there's nothing. You know, this guy's never. This is the first time he's looked at me, and you know, what do you say to someone other than thanks? And then look back down at the egg salad. You know, you know, which is what he did. And of course, I walked away completely unsatisfied.
Were you unsatisfied?
Oh yeah, I was like, holy, you know, I wanted to go back and explain more. You know, I wanted him to appreciate and understand how much he meant to me. And I realized there's no way that's gonna happen, but it's okay. No, it's nice. You say thank you, and
hope you don't disappoint.
And then I think about Michael Stipe, and I go, all right.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. Thank you. I'm sorry. That would sum it up.
I have no idea how much, hoe lang dat we al aan het praten zijn. I don't know how long that we've been talking. But maybe I have to open this up a little bit. And,
Yeah, that'd be great.
See if there are questions from the audience. De eerste vraag is altijd de moeilijkste, maar iemand mag hem stellen en dan kan de rest volgen. The first question is always the most difficult one, but so yeah. Anyone? Yeah.
What does the title Ones and Sixes mean?
It started out as just a small thing. It was shifting from zeros and fives. I was doing things in zeros and fives, and I realized that I needed to adjust that because it looked too predictable. But then I wanted it to be something that I could remember what the pattern was. So I shifted it to ones and sixes. So I started doing things in ones and sixes, and it sort of stuck for a while, and then it started gaining meanings, and by the time we made the record, it sort of had come to represent to me this sort of the idea of trying to organize chaos or create or manipulate a system in such a way that it looks like chaos, even though it's working in the direction you want it to go, which, I don't know.
Nothing.
Nothing. It means nothing. It means nothing. Also, it sounds like a drum pattern. Drums and sixes. Or no, let's see, ones and sixes, ones and sixes, ones and sixes, ones and sixes, ones and sixes. It's like boots and cuts and boots and cuts and boots and cuts and boots and cuts. Boots and cuts. And.
Nog een vraag, another question.
Are you still going on with Retribution? Is there something new coming up?
We tried to record some things this last winter and summer, and some of it worked, but some of it is still not working. So we're going to try to do more maybe this winter. But Eric, the drummer, has a solo thing called Actual Wolf, and it's more kind of folk country music, but he does that a lot, especially when we're doing Low. So we should look into that too.
I had another question from someone, he passed it on to me, wondering if you would consider putting out another live album, because that has been a while and there are good recordings. So, or...
I don't know, I think those things are so available now that, I mean, why would you capture something that I guess at this point I feel like people can get recordings all the time of us, and it probably is as good a quality as, I don't know, maybe someday.
They like to add that to their collection. It's different if you check something on YouTube, which is maybe okay, but yeah.
Well, it would be nice to. I like the shows we're doing right now, and just from experience, I know there's sort of a trajectory. You know, when a record comes out, you work hard and you come to a certain peak with being able to play the songs, and then after, and then by the next year you've changed and you've moved on to other songs. So it would be nice to capture what we're doing now, because I like how we're playing.
Yeah, I think, just because we play them differently.
Yeah.
It's a little different from the record,
so
of course.
Yeah, that's
And,
interesting. Maybe.
We've been out for a few months, and sometimes things get really
Sometimes they get better, sometimes
focused.
they get worse.
focused at certain points. Yeah.
Well, we're lucky we'll get to see it tonight, so that's
All right,
great.
Fingers crossed. We'll see what
Een
happens.
laatste vraag misschien nog van iemand? Ja.
Why do you have to go watch Chelsea Wolf? What's the connection?
Well,
Totally other music.
it's totally different.
Opinion.
You think different music? Yeah, maybe a little bit. I mean, I had heard Chelsea Wolf before, but I don't know. AB,
Yeah, it wasn't
Contacted
wasn't
us.
necessarily.
yeah, they contacted us
Yeah,
and
yeah.
said, "Hey, would we do this? Would we do this
this with her."
big Saturday show
Yeah.
with Chelsea Wolfe?" And I said, "Sure." I don't know.
We like to be agreeable.
Yeah, we like to help.
Yeah.
Oké. Ja, nog eentje.
Was there a particular reason to release the new album on September 11th?
They changed record release days to Fridays instead of Tuesdays,
Yeah.
and that's. I think that was just that was the date.
No, it was by accident. I
Yeah.
mean, I think.
Then I have another question.
Sure.
Which Low album was the most fun to record?
I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, they're always a little bit of a mix of fun and struggle. I think I would be skeptical if one record was more fun. Probably means it wasn't very good.
Yeah. I think
I
they've
don't
all
know.
been.
They've
yeah,
all been
they've
fun.
all been
I
unique.
think we've always enjoyed
working,
ourselves and had some
working with
good
different
moments.
producers. They're always fun to get to know.
I don't know.
So,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
always been.
I mean,
I
Jeff
guess
Tweedy
I've always
is,
enjoyed
you
it.
know, he's got a lot of stories to tell you, and so does Albini. You know,
Yeah.
they're full of stories. You're constantly talking
Yeah,
and hearing,
it's
and
pretty fun.
yeah, it's good.
Those are probably the most fun moments.
I think I have one last question since it's Halloween and it's not really a big holiday here, but it
Yeah.
seems to kind of take over.
That party store was full. Yeah.
So, what is the spookiest song in the Low catalog? And will we hear it tonight?
Let's see.
That's a good question. Maybe you guys can answer. I don't know.
Oh, let's see.
I'm not sure.
Some about. What's that?
Witches. Maybe witches.
Yeah, witches.
Ah,
Yeah, a
yes.
song called Witches. Yeah, that's a good witches thing.
Yeah, good Halloween song.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, if you don't know it, check it
Pointed
out.
hat. Riding on a broom. Flying around my room. I had the top bunk.
Thank you very much.